Welcome back to the Second Syndicate, where the second is first. We're here with a very special guest tonight, Barbara Kirkmeyer, Senator, Colorado, who is running for governor. And as always, I've got my co-host here, Alicia Garcia, the Boomstick Babe.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm very happy to say that we have Senator Barb Kirkmeyer here. I am very happy to be back and have Teddy back. It's been a while since we've had Teddy on the show. We've had a lot of things going on.
Been jet setting.
Yes, he's been jet setting while the rest of us are working. He was having a good time, so he better have brought me back some really cool souvenirs.
There's some cool things.
But before we get into the show, and we have a great time and conversation with our guests, let's talk about some odds and ends things, just to brief you on what is going on here in Colorado. Today is November 5th. Remember
the 5th of November.
The 5th of November, of all the treason and the plots. So we do have some giveaways going. Thank you, everyone out there, for tuning in and watching. Please hit that bell, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Help us to get out of the ugly shadow banning of all of these channels. We are heavily talking about freedom, the 2A, liberating the 2A, and we want you guys to support us. So hit those bells and likes and follow us and help share this content so we are not so heavily shadow banned. We do have some promotional giveaways going on. We have one that is to donate to our fundraiser right now for Armed Educators. Yeah. So we are taking the initiative to raise money. We want to raise at least $50,000 for the Faster Colorado program. If you want to go back into our previous episodes, our partner Rosie and I interviewed Laura Carno from Faster Colorado to talk about our efforts to fundraise to pay the tuition for as many people as we can to get through the Faster program to arm the educators here in Colorado, because we are seeing a significant attack, not only on the Second Amendment, but lack of any involvement to protect our kids. And we hear so many people complain that they want a safer community and a safer Colorado, but yet they are leaving our kids out there all willy-nilly with no defenses. We have literally Best Buy has better security than our kids. So your PlayStations are apparently worth more than the lives of our children. So please donate to that. You can go to Give, Send, Go. I'm sure Carl, our fantastic media guy, will drop that information in the chat and in the post, so you can support us there. You can also follow us through our Gleamy.io account. For every follow, that is free through that platform. That is an entry into win a Springfield Echelon with Crimson Trace Optic and flashlight, courtesy of Jeff over at Specialty Sport and Supply.
And the other prize we're giving away is from Damage Factory.
Yes.
That's a Springfield Armory 1911 that's
Yes.
been custom engraved with
Yes.
very patriotic themes. It's beautiful. So please donate to Faster. Let's protect our kids. We are going to unpack a little bit about elections, because we just had an election yesterday. Unfortunately, a lot of the school boards did not go our direction here in Colorado, and we'll talk a little bit and unpack that a little bit later here, but after you.
Awesome. So please go and follow us. Thanks. Shout out to Damage Factory and Specialty Sport for supplying those guns, because even though one of our biggest supporters and the members of Spartan Defense are a part of the Second Syndicate, we are also part of the CFFLA, the Colorado Federal Firearms Licensee Association, and we are working together across the state to join federal firearms licensees and the Second Amendment people across our square state to make sure that our message is perpetuated and we are united. So shout out to everybody involved. Without further ado, those giveaways will be done. One is going to be on the day after Thanksgiving. The other one is going to be the day after Christmas. So you still have some time to go over there and get involved in those giveaways. Now, Absolutely. Without further ado, let's give a very, very warm welcome to Senator Barb Kirkmeyer.
Yay.
Thank you for coming on tonight, Barb. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So a couple years ago, I met Barb because I was actually interested in getting more involved in politics on a boots on the ground perspective. So I volunteered to go and do some canvassing up in Weld County. And I walked into a coffee shop up there where we were getting everybody together. And there was Rich Guggenheim of Gays Against Groomers. There was Ryan Armagost. There was Barb. And everybody came out to support Barb and canvass for her out there. And we got to talking, and one of the things that was brought up to me was that Barb was anti-2A, and I was like, I don't want to help this woman if she is anti-2A. And I said, I'm going to look into this. So I picked up the phone, and I made some phone calls, and, you know, we like to be very transparent here on the Second Syndicate. So I even reached out to Ian over there at RMGO, and I said, you know, I've heard some rumors that you guys were saying that Barb is anti-gun, and this is coming from Ian Escalante's mouth at RMGO. He said, absolutely not. Actually, I had talked with Barb this morning, He says, and we have no plans to come against Barb. We have no issues with Barb. And as long as she doesn't do something absolutely crazy, we are not going to challenge her or give her a hard time to run for governor. So that was really pleasant to hear, because we know how difficult it can be to find people in this industry who represent the Second Amendment here in Colorado.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know what, Alicia, I had a conversation with Ian as well, because I'd been hearing it. I mean, every once in a while you hear this. I'm like, where is that coming from? And so I just contacted him and I said, hey, I'm just hearing it. Like, we're good, right? Because, you know, we'll work as legislators. I mean, I'll work with whomever,
Sure.
especially on, you know, on the 2A bills that come in, the anti-2A bills, to get the right message out. And he said the same thing. He's like, no, we're good. And in fact, we're going to send the survey over to you and we want you to answer it. And, you know, we've been doing pretty good up here in Weld County, working together with everybody. So
Yeah,
that's
honestly, out
that's
of
what
all
we
the
got to do.
counties, I think Weld was one of the only ones. Weld, El Paso, and a few others were some of the only counties that did stay conservative, or for the local elections, at least I should say. So good work on that up in Weld.
Yeah.
Yes, and I attended the other night the GOP Weld County hoedown. And
Down, yeah.
I didn't even know so many people were going to be there. I was like, okay. A good friend of mine, Ryan Schuling, he invited me to be his guest. And I said, yeah, I'll go. He said, it's a hoedown. I was like, oh, don't let me bust out my cowboy hat and my cowboy boots, because I'm from Southern Colorado. And, you know, we have those on ready to go. So it was nice to see so many people come out. We saw Congressman Gabe Evans. We saw, you know, Teller County was out there representing. We had Steve Reams out there. We had a lot of very, very cool people that came out to support you. Carlos Barron. We had Dan Woog. It was a nice time.
We had a pretty good showing. Yep.
So Barb,
That's
tell us, for the people that don't know you very well, tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got involved in politics. What got you started in politics here in Colorado?
Sure. And well, let me just tell you a little bit about my background for those people
Absolutely.
who don't know me.
Thank you.
I am a fourth generation Coloradoan. I grew up
nice.
on a dairy farm in northern Jefferson County, and we were poor when I grew up. You know, I have 6 siblings. My grandmother lived with us. My great uncle lived with us. We had 11 people around the table. And I'm telling you, when they said get to the table for dinner, you got to the table or you may not get anything, kind of thing, right? You got in there. And, you know, it was a great experience. Growing up on a farm, my parents taught us about saving money, perseverance, working hard. And I will tell you, my experience, you know, cleaning out the barn and cleaning out calf pens has come in handy as a state senator. So I can clean out a bunch of stuff. But, you know, so I grew up there. I worked my way through college. I ended up owning a dairy farm for a while as well, and raised my kids on a dairy farm, and then also owned a small business. So I have all that in my background. And so, you know, when you ask me, how did I get involved? The business that I owned was a floral shop. And I can still remember my father-in-law, who lived right across the road from me. And, you know, because it was a family dairy farm that we had. He's telling me I got to come to this meeting at his house. And I'm like, I'm exhausted. Valentine's Day was 2 days ago. I'm tired. I got 2 little kids. I just want to stay home. And he goes, no, I need you to come to this meeting. And I went, and I found out that at that time, there was like all of these regional landfills and fly ash sites and waste disposal sites. So all of these type of disposal facilities were being sited in our rural area of the county. Because obviously, living on a dairy farm, I'm out in rural Weld County, and we were getting surrounded by it because the urban encroachment into our area, because I live in the southern part of Weld County. And I'm sitting there watching it all. I'm telling you, I met lifelong friends from there. But when I called my county commissioner and tried talking to him and saying, hey, we're going to need your help down here. And keep in mind, I live an hour from the county seat. Well, it's not like it's next door to me or anything. I mean, Weld County is a big county.
Yeah.
And he basically told me it didn't matter what happened in my end in the county. I was like, what? You know, now I'm getting ticked off. And he told me that I was just chasing windmills. And I told him, I said, we were on the phone. I said, you are going to be, you know, I said a lot of things.
I'm
But
going
I said,
after you.
you're going to be like darn sorry when I catch one. And I hung up on him. And then I ran against him for county commissioner. So it started with me getting involved in my community at a very, very community level, right? I mean, I was a community activist, basically. But I got involved in my community. We had a group, and it was a small group. But even in our rural community, I mean, we think anybody within 5 to 8 miles of us is a neighbor. we could round up a pretty good bunch of people. And we were going to the city of Northglenn, to Erie Town Board meetings, to Kono, Frederick, Hudson, Fort Lupton. And, we all decided we needed to get involved, and everybody ran for something or got on a board and just got engaged, whether it was the health board, the planning board. We had the mayor of Dacono. I ran for county commissioner, right? And won. And so, getting ticked off, but also thinking that, you got to take care of your community and go fight as a neighborhood and be unified in it was a great experience. And it's how I got involved in politics in the first place. And when I was first a county commissioner, I had 2 kids that were under the age of 6. They were under the age of 6 when I got elected. We had the dairy farm, and I owned a small business at the same time. So nobody can give me the excuse that they just don't have enough time.
Absolutely.
If it's your community and it's your area, you need to get engaged, because it's up to you to do that job, to get engaged and go fight for your area. And that's what I did. And I became a county commissioner, and I'm telling you, I loved it.
Big Timber in the chat.
Big Timber.
Love to see you, Big
Welcome,
T.
brother.
Welcome.
I think that's one of the common themes you hear. Some of the biggest political careers out there is someone got upset or pissed off at the system or at a politician and had to get involved themselves. I think some of the biggest political dynasties are built that way, because that's what it takes for a lot of people to realize, okay, no one else is going to do this for me. I have to do this myself. And I think people really need to understand that here in Colorado, because everybody expects somebody else to go to the polls and vote for them, or to make something happen for them. No, that's not how it works in this world. God helps those that help themselves. If you're not trying, you're not going to receive.
And that's exactly why I got involved. And
Exactly.
that's how we both got involved. Is
I met you after going out with that conversation with Epps. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. But no, I mean, we had, one of my neighbors has this big, huge shed that was like a community center almost. I mean, they set it up that way. Again, I live out in the country. We had a neighborhood watch program.
Yep.
We would call everybody in, and we could get like 400 people to show up. It's like families would come, and everybody's engaged. It's our neck of the woods. It's our community, rural community. And when our county commissioner said they didn't care, that was it. That's all it took off. But that's what needs to happen. That's how people need to get engaged.
well, just some funny background information is I also grew up on a farm. I
what kind of farm?
well, we had rudimentary animals, so horses, pigs, sheep, cattle, and great time. Loved it. That's why I'm such a huge advocate of being outdoors and shooting guns and doing all that kind of stuff. But I also worked in a floral shop for almost 5 years. Yeah.
Look how much we have in common.
I can freehand an arrangement girl.
That's
let me
true.
tell you.
She's good at it. She's good at it.
So that's how I put myself through college is, I had so many jobs, but one of my main ones was working at a floral shop. And I just worked there day in and day out because my owner was very kind to me. Let me do my homework there. Let me bring my dog. So I basically could just go stay at the shop all day and send flowers and make arrangements and do those things. And sometimes same thing. That's what taught me, the same work ethic that you're talking about is nobody is there to help you. You have to do it yourself. And we have to get away from the fact that we are only doing things on ourselves and that we're allowing people to get to these points of frustration where they feel helpless, that they have to, be solution oriented with themselves. We should be able to be solution oriented as a community. Absolutely. And coming together and helping each other solve these problems. Absolutely.
And Barb, obviously growing up on a ranch, I'm sure you're around firearms as you grew up. I don't know when you were first introduced to them or if you have any tales or experiences. I don't know if you hunted. Tell us a little bit about your background with firearms.
I am not really a hunter, but I had 4 brothers. We all had BB guns. That was our first start. Sorry.
That's a good start.
But
Red Riders.
I have to tell you, my mom and dad were big into hunting. Like when they first got married and engaged and all that kind of stuff, they would go out hunting. My mom was an expert shot with a .22, and she could pick a squirrel off of a telephone wire. And so I can still remember her even when she was like, in her late 70s. She'd just go out with her .22 and shoot that squirrel off. And it was just always amazing. But, we were around guns. I mean, I'm not going to say I did a lot around guns. We were busy working. I had to feed calves. That was my chore. Had to get up in the morning, feed calves in the morning, feed them in the afternoon. Then we had to cook dinner. I mean, our job was making sure the farm worked. I mean, like I said, I grew up pretty poor, and we didn't even have indoor restroom until I was like 5 or 6 years of age.
wow.
And I can remember my mother giving my older brother a really hard time because he would go out and hide places and scare us. We had to go out every night and use the restroom before we'd go to bed.
Yeah.
And he would go out and scare us before we'd get to the restroom. And my mom would get really ticked off because, sometimes you might wet your pants. And so she told him he couldn't do that. Here's what my mom thought. She didn't tell him that he couldn't scare us. She said, you can only scare them on their way back to the house.
Yeah, after
Then
they've
she didn't have
done
to worry about it. Yeah, see, she thought it through. But no, so my brothers had guns. They did a lot of hunting, and I would go with them. But in our family of 7, I was number 6, so I was a lot younger, and I'd follow them around and tag along, kind of stuff sometimes. But they did a lot of that. I'd follow around with them, but I just was always so proud of my mom, man. She was good. She could teach my brothers all sorts of stuff, and it was pretty fun.
Anytime you want to get on that range and you want to bust some caps, you let us know. We were actually working with Carlos Barron to see what we could do to organize a range day and educational
Say that name
experience.
so much better than I do. I can't say it like that. That's
It's just, come on. It's
I
not
know,
that difficult.
All right.
If you could say Zach Galifianakis, you could say Barron.
I say everything Texican.
Barron.
So, it is
Barron.
You got to say it, Barron.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, isn't
we
he?
would like,
Yes.
he's a
We
wonderful
like
guy,
Carlos.
but we were talking with him to arrange a range day, not just for the Republicans, but for the Democrats and their aides, so we can get some understanding of what it means to
We're
talk
hoping
about
to
guns.
try, and this may be a fruitless effort, but we're hoping to try to educate the ignorant, and that's a lofty goal. But who knows? Maybe we'll make
But it's worth
if we
it.
make a change in 1 or 2 people. It's
We're not
worth it.
being
It's
very
worth it.
successful.
Yeah.
We keep bringing it up to different ranges and different places that want to make this happen, and it's
Well, we do have one. I think the gallery is on board. I need to talk to him tomorrow. But yeah,
but we want to
great.
see about getting everybody out there and to get them some actual firearm safety training and information, because we're like, well, these people are out here making laws.
and they don't understand what they're making laws about.
Exactly. They have no idea.
Oh.
They have no experience with the tools. They have no experience with firearms. So
Crazy.
let's actually give you some proper education. That way you're not just out here, blowing steam, and these other organizations that are anti-2A are giving them narratives and they're just running with it because they're accepting it as true.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'll give you a prime example on that. Senator Rhonda Fields. She's from Aurora area, right?
Yeah.
And it was the waiting period bill.
That's fine.
And so I live in rural Colorado. There aren't that many people who live in rural, legislators, senators in particular that live in rural Colorado. I live in rural Colorado, and I'm talking about how long it takes for law enforcement to get to our homes.
Correct.
It's not like
Response time.
they're not a couple corners away, a couple streets away kind of thing. I mean, we don't have them we don't have law enforcement on every corner. It's if they are close, that's 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
It's at least, 30, 40 minutes before they could get to my home. And I will tell you, during COVID, it was not a good time. I was a county commissioner, and people were threatening us about different things because we were the county that said, hey, individual responsibility, personal responsibility. If you think you need to wear a mask, you wear a mask. We're not mandating anything, kind of stuff, right? But anyways, so I'm talking to her, and I'm talking and filibustering basically about this. And gosh, I'm trying to think, was it Senator Pelton? There was another rural commissioner, and we were talking about it, and about how long it takes and how this is ridiculous and why should we have to wait, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, she got up there and just yelled at us basically and told us how ridiculous we were, that that just isn't so. And it's just even their understanding of rural Colorado in some of this legislation. So when you're talking about they don't understand about guns and they don't understand about your industry, they also just don't understand about rural Colorado and the importance to us in rural Colorado being able to secure and provide for the safety around our own homes and our property.
And there's different dangers in rural Colorado also than
now we
just
have wolves.
bad guys. There's
Yeah.
nature, and there's weather boundaries as well. Like, we can have some very severe winter storms here. And when you have issues with power outages and, streets that are not accessible by certain vehicles, and you have an emergency, the ability to act is so imperative. There is no time to even question or even think you have to act. And these people have never left more than 5 blocks that they live in.
Yeah.
So they assume that that's the reality
It's the
for
ivory
everybody
tower
else out there.
mentality. It's ivory
Yeah,
tower
and-
mentality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they think their response time is everyone's response time, and it just isn't so, right?
Well,
I mean,
also,
it isn't so.
you got to look at the hypocrisy of it. These are the same people that are trying to defund the police in a lot of cases, tie their hands behind their back, but yet they also want to disarm us. We can't all afford the luxury of a private security armed guard that follows us around like some of these people in their ivory towers can.
But they also
Well-
don't believe in that, because in their mindset, they're making laws of rational behavior to apply to irrational behavior.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. It's crazy.
I think one of the biggest eye openers for me was, I think that might have been my first or second legislative session, that when I was in Colorado was that was my second. That was 3-day wait, right? That was last year or year before. I
That
can't
was
remember at this point.
HB 23-1219.
2023. So that was my second
So,
session.
yes, I know the actual bill that was passed in
You're
2023.
the plaintiff.
Well, because I'm the plaintiff in Garcia versus Polis
That's
So
right.
against a
over that.
3-day waiting period. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think what I was going to say is, I think one of the biggest eye openers for me was sitting in the session and hearing the amendments that the Republican Party were bringing up to try to, I would say, water down the bill or try to make it less overreaching. And one of the biggest ones for me was people with protective orders. That was shot down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they brought it, especially for women. And I know you're a woman and politician, and I'm sure you've had threats at some point in your life. Everybody in politics gets those, especially from the other side. So it's insane to me that no exception was made for people that have protective orders or that are under threat that could get around that 3-day wait. And in a lot of states, even a CHP or a CHL, depending on the state that you're in, also bypasses any waiting period. But no exception for that either, even
Nope.
though you would think that would actually, like, I'm against a waiting period in general, just to be clear.
Exactly.
But you would think that would promote maybe education and they could see it as that way, but they don't. They're just too far gone.
So just to correct myself here, that bill passed in 2023, and it was
Effective
put
2024.
in effect October 1st,
Yes.
2023.
2023. That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Just for
Yeah.
everybody listening.
But it's difficult. I mean, I know you two know about the process, and we've talked about the process a little bit, but it's difficult for people to understand. I mean, in the Senate, there are 35 senators, and only 12 of us are Republican. It
Yeah.
takes 18 to kill a bill, or
Yes.
18 to pass a bill, or more than that. So they have more than enough numbers to push through any bill they want. And typically what happens is, a bill will goes through both chambers, starts off in a hearing, which is a smaller committee. And these bills get pushed through pretty quickly. Even when we have a lot of people who want to come down and testify, they cut your testimony down to
Yes.
2 minutes.
You know,
Sometimes at one point they'll just say 1 minute. Or we had one legislator that started saying things like, look, we're going to allow 6 hours
Yeah.
for one side and 6 hours for the other side, and that's it.
That's
And that's just so frustrating to people. I mean, and I appreciate the frustration, because when I was running for county commissioner, remember I told you I ran against that county commissioner, I had to go testify against some land use proposals, landfill up in Greeley. And I got up and started speaking, and the county commissioner, the chair of the board, tried to cut me off. And I'm like, okay, so I grew up on a farm, 10 years in 4-H. I know parliamentary procedure, right?
Yes.
Because you learn it when you're in 4-H. And
Robert's rules.
I'm looking at him, and he kept, yes, Robert's rules. And he kept trying to interrupt me. And finally I told him, I said, you can't interrupt me. I've got the podium. And he was
You
like,
have the floor.
what? I said,
That's right.
but you can't interrupt me. But you know what? And then when I became a county commissioner, having that experience of being on the other side, I think you have a tendency to be more respectful and more appreciative of the people who have driven an hour to come
Yes.
talk to you about something, or at the state capitol, maybe driven 4 hours to come talk, and they get 2 hours, and then you just cut them off. So,
I think
my
that's something
process,
we
like,
just saw this last legislative session was they put a hard stop on testimony. I don't remember
Yes,
that
they
the
did.
previous sessions.
Well, they did that with a lot of the assault weapons ban bills.
I mean, we're not getting
The
paid to be there.
they,
We should be
No,
heard.
they did it with House Bill 1312
yep,
as well, which was the bill I called the War on Parents.
yes.
But, the thing is, so it's hard for people to understand, but in the minority, there is only so much we can do. And on the Senate, we do things a little bit different than the House. I mean, we all try to filibuster as best we can, but quite frankly, they push that bill through early on in the session. There's no way we're going to filibuster that bill to death. The only time we get to filibuster a bill to death is usually in the last week of session when we start running out of time, like the calendar is going away, right? And so it's very difficult. So, sometimes there just isn't a point to, just keep going and going and going and repeating yourselves other than to make yourselves exhausted, I guess. But, so we get our points across, but it's difficult. I mean, people are like, why aren't you doing more? And I'm like, we're doing everything we can.
As
We
much
are
as you,
in the
with the help that
minority.
you have, tell them to show up and vote, and maybe that'll make a
Yeah,
difference.
exactly. I mean, we're in the minority. So all we can do is go talk. And here's what happens on the Senate floor. They don't even have to listen to us. A lot of times
They
they'll
get
get
up
up
and
and
leave.
They
leave.
get up and leave.
You
They
know,
color
or
in their coloring books. They go
or they're-
do all these
Yeah.
other things.
they're sitting at their desks
they're
going
getting
through
paid
stuff.
to do it.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why Teddy likes me, is because
Yeah, you and Epps, that the Predator, as I call her, got into
I
some
was
heat.
very
I
irritated.
appreciate that. Yeah,
one
I
day.
appreciate that. Well, I would say this though, for folks that when you're coming down to testify, here's the key is, and they even would try to cut off legislators as well. But the key is to get legislators to ask you questions to expand your time.
That's right.
And so when I sit in committee, again, having been on the other side and, waited that hour, or drove that hour to testify for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is, because I've testified at the Capitol as well, as you all have, I would plant questions with people. Like,
Yes.
can you just ask me this question,
Good.
That's
kind
the
of
way to do
thing.
it.
And so just a suggestion as folks are down there, like, please do that. If they're not already asking questions. I mean, I think most of us are pretty good about trying to draw out some more points from folks. But everybody does start getting tired after 10 hours. I just want you to
They
know.
do. And then
And this is why it's very important for people out there to know who their senators and their House representatives are, because you should have these relationships with them. That way they know that you're coming down to testify and you know that they're going to be speaking on a certain topic, and you could say, hey, please ask me this. And that's one of the things that we have done, and a tactic that we have always used,
Exactly.
especially with Congressman Gabe Evans when he was in the, I
the
believe he
House?
was in the House.
Yeah.
And he knew that we were going to come out. We were going to speak out against these gun control bills. And he knew that he was going to ask us those questions because we wanted to make sure that we hit on very specific topics. So I implore all
Ryan was
people
very
just to
good
get
about
more
that, too.
involved and to know the names of their House and senators.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So one of the things that I
and-
did want to
and
bring up.
Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Barb.
I was going to say, and the other thing is this is a tip that I would tell people like at the county commission, write out your comments and give us all a copy.
Absolutely.
Because then I can sit there and look at it and ask questions from that as well. Or at least, your comments are truly getting all the way across. You may have 5 minutes worth of comments. You only get to speak 2 or 3, whatever it ends up being, but we get all of your comments. And I would do that as well.
I wanted to touch upon the fact that we were doing some research. Shout out to Big Timber in the audience. He was one of the guys that brought this up to me as we were looking into all of the candidates that are running for governor, which you are one of those people. And we asked 3 different sets of AI about who has the
Best
best
chance. of winning.
chance of winning in Colorado. And all 3 of them gave us you.
You.
And they said Barb is the one who has the best chance of winning this governor's race because she has the most political experience. She is the most politically apt, and she is the one that has the most experience on a lot of these topics.
And a very capable fundraiser. That was one of the points you raised out, which, by the way, I think you're smoking your competition right now in fundraising at the last quarterly report, at least, from what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good.
You're doing
But I
good.
got to do better.
Well, we need a lot more money to compete with Bennett and good
Act
old,
Blue?
yeah. They I think they've raised a few million, so
Act
that's
Blue? Yeah.
out of state money coming in. We got to be able to fight here too, and we need people to start opening up
But
those
you have-
pocketbooks.
For your political career, this is not new to you. You are what you said. You've been a precinct committee person for the past 30 years.
Yeah,
Isn't
on
that
and
correct?
off. I mean, I would try to get somebody to fill in for me, and they, we'd work together on it for a year, and then the next year they're like, "Now we don't want to do that." So basically, yeah, for the last 30 years, I've pretty much been the precinct committee person in my precinct.
And that is a lot of time and dedication. So, what are some of the biggest lessons that you have learned in local government before, running for the state senate? And what are some things that you can tell us about to help us not only inform the public, but give them an understanding of what it's going to take for us to win this race?
It's going to take a lot to win this race, but it's there. I'm trying to think as a local government person. Again, I've been on both sides of the podium. So again, I would say, get to know what you said, get to know your legislator, get to know your county commissioner. Don't just wait until it's time for you to actually, where you need something. Go get to know them in advance. Find out who they are, find out who you're supporting, vet who you're supporting, find out what's really truly behind them and who they are and what kind of experience they have. I get tagged sometimes because I was a county commissioner for 20 years. So I served 8 years. I ran 2 terms. We were term limited 2 terms when I first ran for county commissioner, went off, and then went and worked in the Owens administration. So I learned, about state government from that side of things. And then I came back and I served as county commissioner for another 3 terms. So a total of 20 years. And, people are like, "Oh, you're a career politician." And I just want to point out to people, it's one thing if you're a career politician and you don't do anything and you don't get anything accomplished, like Senator Bennett. It's another thing when you're a county commissioner for 20 years and you've got deliverables, you've got a record. I mean, I'm very proud of my record and the things I've done as a county commissioner. I mean, I led my county to 0 debt, lowered the mill levy by 1/3. I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars that haven't been collected in property taxes. That we left, in their pockets. That's their money, not our money, kind of thing. And just things that I've done with transportation. And then, the other thing with the Second Amendment sanctuary county, just paying attention to what's going on, listening and having those relationships with other county commissioners across the state, and people and listening to the people. I mean, doors are always open. I mean, especially at the local level. It's the greatest place to go and get to know folks the best and understand what they're doing and really get engaged. And I will tell you, county commissioners probably have more impact on your lives on a day-to-day basis than pretty much any other elected office. It's amazing what the power that county commissioners have. So I would say just go get to know them. Even if they're not in the same party as you, there's no reason why you can't go develop a relationship so that when you do need something, you have somebody that you can go to and talk to straight up. But I can't remember all your questions there, but
yeah, we threw a lot at you. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a lot. I mean, creating that Second Amendment sanctuary county, that was huge. That was the Weld County commissioners saying, working with our sheriff, Steve Reams, who's great,
Fantastic.
I mean, I know a lot of sheriffs, but I always say, I think my sheriff's the best. But, there are a lot of really good sheriffs.
Reams,
yeah.
You've got Roybal, you've got Weekly, and of course you got Mikesell. They're all really good sheriffs for sure.
Mikesell, yeah. There's several good sheriffs, and I know Steve Reams, and we have a great working relationship even now as a senator. And so here's where relationships pay off. So I have a relationship with my sheriff as a county commissioner. Now I'm a state senator. Guess what? I can text him at any point. I'm like, Senate bill such and such, and just give him the number. And I'm like, I need to know where you're at. And I need to know, are you for it? Are you against it? And why? And give me some talking points. And he will respond pretty quickly. I mean, it's usually pretty darn quick. And it's that kind of relationship that anybody can develop with a local government official or even their state senator. So I don't know what's going on there. But, I would say building relationships is probably the best thing. Yeah.
Well, same here is, that's what makes it more effective for us to be able to have these conversations is we need to be able to reach these people. And one of the things that I had said before we went live is how important it is to establish these relationships, how important it is for people to know who's representing them, because these are the people that are making decisions that are not only affecting you, but your career, your family, your children. Everything about your livelihood is based on these elected officials. And if you don't know their name and you don't know what they're doing, how are they representing you? How are they showing up for you? And we need to be able to normalize that you guys are just people too, right? That's one of the things that we were saying is that you're a mom. You're a Coloradan. You are a business owner. You are somebody. You're not just this quote unquote career politician. And I think that gets thrown away kind of like a naughty word. But how are we supposed to break the mystery and the fear of getting involved in politics if we don't know those who have been involved, who can educate us and help us and teach us and lay the groundwork for us? We deserve to have mentors.
And I think the other thing too is, Alicia, is that keep in mind we're all not going to agree on everything, right? But having those different viewpoints and people having those conversations makes us all better people.
Absolutely.
You know, and I would say like on a board, you know, on my board of county commissioners, there are 5 commissioners. And like I tell people all the time, I grew up in local government and it's different than being a state senator. I mean, state senators, we deal with the legislative process kind of thing. And I mean, it's probably part of the reason why I love being on the joint budget committee, because it feels more like a board of county commissioners to me, where everybody's pulling together and working together and bringing their viewpoints in and, you know, their point of view and their life experiences to the table. And it's the same thing in any relationship that you're developing with folks. So like when you came to the hoedown, I mean, you saw a lot of people that we're just having these one-on-one conversations with and talking about a wide variety of subjects. It's not like it's just one thing everybody wants to talk to you about. It's a wide variety, and they're telling you what's going on in their neighborhood or where they live, kind of thing. Yeah, and it's, you know, that's the best part, honestly, from my perspective of being an elected official, is the people that you get to know. But as a board of county commissioners, we always had this comment. We had this rule that, because there were 5 of us in Weld County, that you count to 5 before you count to 3. Yes, 3 is the majority, but we had better decisions when all 5 of us were engaged in the decision and coming up with the solutions, like in our work sessions and stuff. And it's the same way with even as a legislator. We have better bills when we have stakeholders, when we have people looking at our bills and saying, my God, this portion of your bill just sucks and doesn't work for us. Or they'll say this works, or this could be tweaked and this works better this way. And give them, you know, that don't just criticize them and tell them how much you don't like them. Tell them what, you know, could make things better, or how to make things work, or where you're willing to work with them on things, and have those kind of discussions. But don't expect, I mean, how boring would the world be if we all agreed on everything exactly the same? It's just not going to happen.
I
You got to
agree.
be able to have
So, you know,
need to have discourse too.
Yeah,
yes, we do, because
exactly.
we need to be able to learn from each other. If everybody agreed, we'd be walking in a land full of clones and no individuality. It would be, you know, black and white. It would be
Well, America was
Pleasantville.
built by nonconformists. We should be a nonconformist society, in my opinion, but that's
Yeah,
just me.
there you go. But you know, but here's the thing. I think this is what's going on though in our Republican Party, is we don't allow for civil discourse. We don't allow for disagreement. We all don't have to agree 100% on everything. I mean, you know, that whole purity test. So, I mean,
Yes.
I've been called a rhino. I've been called establishment. I've been called a career politician. I mean, how many jobs do you know that every 4 years you got to go interview for your job and get, you know, I don't know, tens of thousands of people to vote for you,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, that doesn't happen very often. And, you know, if you're not good at your job, then you don't deserve to get reelected. But at the same time, you know, we've got a party that has really gotten to the point, and I think we're getting a little bit better. But, you know, if I don't agree exactly with somebody who lives, you know, in El Paso County or Jefferson County, then, you know what, I'm a horrible person. And I just don't look that way. I mean, I'm
No
a
one's going
common
to
sense
see eye to eye on
conservative,
every topic. It's not
practical.
possible.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? My theory is this: I will work with anybody to get my job done and to do what is the best thing that I can do for the people of the state of Colorado now. Before it was my county, now it's for the people of the state of Colorado. I'll work with whoever I can to push forward good principled values in the state of Colorado. I mean, I have not compromised my values or my principles, but you know, there are things about 80% of the time we're going to agree with people who are across the aisle. I mean, I can find a lot of folks that are going to agree with me on access to healthcare, or a lot of folks across the aisle that are going to agree with me on transportation. And so I just go work on those things, and let's go get some stuff done for the state instead of just sitting down there. I'm not one of those people that just sits down there and votes no on everything. That's just not my gig.
I guess this kind of brings us into another topic we were going to talk about today, and that's the infighting amongst our own party. We have a lot of it.
Yeah.
There's the infighting versus the county and the state level GOP. I guess as the potential head of the ticket, the head of the ballot, how do you plan to bring that coalition together to bring victory for Colorado and to bring the Republican Party back out of the minority? Do you have any?
I'm telling you,
I know. I see.
it's difficult.
It's
Because
difficult.
and here's the thing. I got asked this question the other day. I was in Highlands Ranch at a Republican breakfast thing. Myself and two other gubernatorial candidates. One was Robert Moore and the other one was Representative Bottoms.
Okay.
And I would tell you, Representative Bottoms and I don't agree on everything. He's probably a little more strident in some of his opinions than I am. I'm
But you
probably
can
more
work
willing
together.
to. I think we can. But we got to ask the question, what are you going to do? And I told him, I said, the first thing is, as Republican nominees, whoever, and I told him, I said, I've got news for you. From the people that I've met, if Representative Bottoms were to win the nomination, I would support him because that's what we need to do. I may not agree with everything that Representative Bottoms says, but I would support him. And I would hope that he would support me, that we could come together for the betterment of everyone and try to win a general election because that's what it's going to take. So sometimes you just have to. Exactly. The thing is, if there might be some really good reason why, because I have not vetted every
Sure.
one of my opponents, but I've been working to get to know them. And they're not my enemy. They are an opponent. We are in a race together, and we're trying to do the best that we can and say that, look, I'm the best person. And, I think you should vote for me. Doesn't mean that I think Greg Lopez is a horrible person because I don't. And I got to know Sheriff Mikesell just in the last few months in this race. And I think the guy's a great guy.
He is.
But I still think I'd make a better governor. Do you know what I'm saying?
And that's
But
okay
if
to
he
have
becomes our
competition.
nominee, I will support him. I'm behind
I think
him.
competition brings that on.
Competition is good. It brings out
It
good
is.
points. Yeah.
It is.
So,
And
but I
that's
think
the thing that we
how
need
start
is for
getting
people to do
unity.
that. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
here's the other thing too. When we are running races, so I ran for Congress in 22 and I lost by 0.7%.
Ooh.
And it was a hard loss, right? And so, and Gabe Evans is a friend of mine. And, he told me early on, he goes, I'm not going to run if you're going to run, because I don't think I can beat you for one thing. But, it's just kind of a respectful thing also. And we're friends. He goes, if you're going to run, I'm not running. But if you're not going to run, would you let me know? And so when I did let him know that I wasn't going to run, that it just didn't feel right for me, I told him right then, I will support you. I'm 100% behind you. Let's go get this one. Let's go figure it out. But here's what else we did up in Weld County. We flipped 5 seats in the 24 election.
Yeah.
5 from Democrat to Republican.
That's big.
And it's because, quite frankly, I went out and recruited people who had a good, solid background, who had experiences that I knew would be valuable, especially at the legislature, and who said they were willing to go work for it. Those are important. And it's important they stick to their message, and it's important that you have a good, strong message. And I quite frankly told them, and it's kind of how I approached even this governor's race. There are, 3 or 4 issues. You should only have 3 or 4 issues that you're really, engaged on, that is on your platform. And at the same time, you've got to know a lot about other topics, but know those messages and then go do some door to door and go out and hone your message and go out and talk to the people and find out what's most important to them. You know what? We flipped 5 seats and we retained all of our seats. So every area of the county has both a legislator that is a state representative and a state senator that is Republican,
Yes.
with the exception of a couple of precincts down in the southwest part of the county that got attached to Boulder County.
Yeah.
So, but everybody else we're all red up here now. Like we went and did it, and we all worked together, and we were unified.
Well,
And
again, I got to bring up
we-
with Welds, their ground game obviously was
Yeah.
good this election, as was El Paso, because we did see a lot of elections that shouldn't have gone the way they went
Yeah.
go that direction, and you guys got through it. You guys did it. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about this election that
well,
happened
part
last
of it
night.
was the work we did in the 24 election.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's important.
Okay.
So hopefully you can bring that ground
Yeah.
game to the state race, because we're going to need it coming into 2026.
Well, it's been a very difficult 24 hours for conservative movements and conservative focuses, not only in Colorado but on a national aspect, because we're seeing that there are some horrible losses that we have taken, and I've seen.
Yeah, my county school board went completely to the DEI crew. So,
Well, there's a very, very significant lack of information, effort, and collaboration in the GOP in Colorado right now, and it's showing. Let's just call it what it
we need
is.
some unity. We
Huh?
need some unity. We need people to put their egos aside, come together, and work on the project at hand and fight the battle together. We can kill each other later. Right now, we gotta beat the other side.
Well, one of the things that I was talking to my sister about was Jeffco. You were just talking about you started off in Jeffco, and they had 3 choices for, I believe, their mayor, and 2 of them were supposedly
Conservative or Republican.
Conservative or Republican. Why are we splitting the vote? Why are we doing this? Why are we focusing on these types of ballot initiative or getting these people on the ballot when we need a unified movement? And we are not seeing that. And I think there's so many egos and there's so much cattiness that we are forgetting the big picture here. People are so concerned with being right that they're forgetting that we need to be unified because what?
I was just going to add on to that. You know, I've talked a lot to people on both sides of the Republican Party. There's multiple different factions, but all I hear is one side pointing fingers at the other side and saying they're to blame, they're to blame. We've got to get over that, or we're going to get our asses handed to us in 2026.
We're getting it handed to us. Look what happened last night. And people don't think that school board elections matter. Who do you think is indoctrinating our kids and protecting our kids? Yeah. Because all they're doing is creating more just disassociation in the mind of these kids that they are to just stand in line, do what they're told, and exist rather than have independent thought, rather than being hardworking, rather than having goals and dreams and being resistant. There is absolutely no strategy. There is absolutely no unification. There is absolutely no tact that is being utilized here. I just moved from one extreme part of Colorado to another part, about an hour and 20 minutes distance from where I used to live to where I am now. I am obviously very involved in politics. I do everything that I can to be involved. I am a registered Republican. I received no calls, no text messages. Same thing with Teddy.
And I'm
no
in Douglas
efforts.
County prime Republican territory that should not have gone the way it has. It should be the Republican stronghold of Colorado. I received nothing, no information. And I've given the party my information. I've attended their events. I've donated to them. And
how do they not know who we are at this point?
It doesn't. It's just bad organization, and it's not working together as we should. And I mean, I don't know how much you want to speak to that. I understand that you have to work with people in the party at different levels, but it's something that
Barb,
needs to be addressed.
When I saw you the other night at the Weld County Hoedown,
the first thing is
you gave me your phone number, didn't you? You said, "Hey, Alicia, reach out to me. Let's talk. Let's figure things out." Do you know how difficult that was? Not difficult at all. We're in the same room. Do you know how difficult it is for a lot of these other people that are supposedly leaders to take initiative to make contacts with people that could be supportive to their mission?
Doesn't make sense. But
makes no sense.
Sorry, Barb. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say this. The first mission, though, of the state party and even the county parties is to conduct the caucus and and basically get a nominee. Get people on the ballot and get a nominee. That's their first mission. They're supposed to be doing that. I think maybe we need to go back to, they need to do the basic stuff first, and maybe that will start bringing some unity. I mean, the division that we've had and that was created just in the last probably 4 years now. I mean, it wasn't this bad before. I mean, there's been times, we have our ebb and flow and our ups and downs, but the last 4 years has just really something, I don't know what is going on, but we go after, not all of us, but some of us are getting attacked on a regular basis by our own party. And I will tell you, some days you just sit there and you think, God, is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
I'm not
that's
only a
what the
mom,
Democrats
I'm a grandmother,
want, though, is
and
they
I
want
have
us
6
divided
grandchildren.
because divided we're weak.
But I think the Democrats are kind of in the same boat right now. I mean, and we've gone so far. I mean, it's like, I don't know, like the pendulum just kind of keeps shifting.
Sure.
But in our own party, you're right. People need to get past some of their
Personal.
just some of the things they do. I'm telling you, it used to be fun to go to a state assembly. It is not fun to go to a state assembly anymore. It used to be fun to go to a caucus and meet up with people that maybe you don't see all the time, but like I said, I would think, well, you're my neighbor, kind of thing. And you talk to them and you just, you're there for a couple hours and you talk about Republican principles and values. And I mean, it's a good conversation, but there came a point, and I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago, where people got very siloed in their opinions and their thoughts about what a Republican should be. I mean, I grew up in the Republican Party. My mom was a precinct person as well. And it was, limited government, fiscal conservative, personal responsibility, individual freedoms. We believe in the Constitution. We're the rule of law party. I mean, things like that. And it's kind of like every time I start talking about it, I'm like, do you all remember what our platform really is? I mean, it's not these single one-off things. No. We've got to have this, I don't call it a minimum. I call it a baseline. We have to have this baseline that we can all agree to. And then there are going to be other things we're not going to agree on. That's okay. We're individuals. You get to have that opinion. But we shouldn't go after and crucify somebody because they don't believe exactly as I do. And I don't do that.
I'd also point out.
And here's the thing. I'm just telling you this whole. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
You're the star on the show tonight, Barb. Don't worry about Teddy.
No. I'm just going to say this whole issue about opting out. I have a totally different perspective on it. And I know people were ticked off at me because I was like, no one's showing up to the caucus. I had a question the other day when I was at a meeting about the opting out. And I asked them, did you go to your caucus? And they just kind of looked at me and they didn't really answer. And I thought, well, I'll just take that as a no. But, they don't go to the caucus. At my last caucus meeting, there were two of us, me and one other person. That's it.
Oh, wow.
That is not grassroots.
That's not good.
But you know what? I think me going to 5,000 doors with my daughter to get signatures on a petition, that's grassroots. I am touching and talking to at 5,000 doors. That's what needs to start happening more. We need to get away from this wall. No, that's not grassroots. Yes, it is. That is more grassroots than anything there is. And I'll tell you, it's like my favorite part to do because you're out there and people are telling you if they want to talk to you, they will come to their door and they are answering there to talk to you. And those are the people you want to talk to. And they're telling you their opinions about everything. And it's really pretty enlightening some days. And it's just great to see the neighborhoods and be out involved. But it's like somehow that's a horrible thing. And this whole opting out, what happens is we also alienate not just on affiliates. We alienate our own party members. We alienate Republicans.
Yeah, taking your ball and going
who aren't engaged.
Yeah, isn't the way to do things.
Yeah. No, it's not. So, I've done both. I've gone through the caucus and I go through the petition, and I usually do both. My last two Senate races, I did both. But my first Senate race, because I had people lining people up against me, I went out and got my petitions as a safety net to make sure I could get on the ballot. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's still Republicans who are voting. And for the most part, yes, there are some affiliates who vote, but in a primary. But for the most part, it is still Republicans who are voting.
Absolutely.
They're not Republicans that show up to a caucus meeting, though.
No.
We do need to touch up on those independents, though. Yeah. That's one of the things that I keep hearing a lot. When we posted today that we were going to have you on a show, I had a lot of people come out with, that term, the rhino. Oh, Barb's a rhino. And we're not here to treat Barb disrespectfully. We want everybody to come on our show. We want her to feel welcome because we want her to speak her mind. We want people to hear from the horse's mouth. We don't want to sit here and bombard you and treat you like, well, what about this and what about that? No, I don't want to speak for you. I want you to speak for you. I want people to realize that you are a person. Your track record will speak for itself, whether people like it or not. That's the whole point of giving people a choice to vote and support who they want to vote. Who do you resonate with? Who don't you resonate with? But one of the things that I've noticed in this Republican Party is that exactly what we're saying. If you don't agree with me 100%, screw you, I'm not going to work with you, I'm going to go against you.
Correct.
But isn't that the whole point of elected officials? Is there's the people
Well,
that have to sit down
and the,
with other parties to negotiate for the best interest of the masses of the people, not just the people that they like or who they don't
Yeah.
like. And it has to be a representation of all people.
And that brings me to the point I was going to make is we have a time to settle these disagreements within our party. It's called elections and primaries. We have primaries for a reason. Whoever the candidate is who the majority of the party elected. And same thing with state leadership. There's a time for state leadership change, and it's during elections. If you have a problem with it, that's what elections be. But until then, we got to get through this. We got to get through 2026. I don't want to spend too much more time on this because I do want to talk more about the Second Amendment.
Let's go
as
for
well,
it.
which is the point of the show. And Barb, I wanted to ask you, what are your plans if you become governor of the state of Colorado? How are you going to protect the Second Amendment? Is there anything day one that you can do?
Besides, have us
You
come
know,
over.
I think, yeah, come on over. You know, I mean, and we kind of laugh about that, but you know, that's really what it takes. It's got to be the group's got to come together and think about what are their solutions and what are things that we can do. I think as a governor, there are different things like with regard to regulations and rules and stuff that I can influence and make changes to. You know, like that, and within the Department of Natural Resources, the bill that was just passed in the last session, you know, late at night kind of thing. The governor comes in with his proposal, changes the whole bill around. And the next thing you know, everybody's got to go take classes and do all this crazy stuff. You know, I think that might be something that I could affect to some degree, maybe. But I think, you know what? Here's the thing when you're an elected official, you don't have to be an expert on everything. You just have to be willing to listen to those people who are experts and have them come to the table and help you out find the solutions.
And we
And
would
that's
love
the
to
kind
be
of
that.
the person that I am.
Yeah, we'd love
It's
to
that-
help you.
to help
yeah,
you with
it's
that.
that
No matter who the
coalition
governor is,
building.
we'd love to
And
help
let's all
out.
talk about what could we do. I mean, you know, obviously I can veto bills, and I would.
course.
I mean, I'm not going to let anything infringe upon, you know, the Second Amendment or any of our constitutional rights, quite frankly. I mean, the Constitution matters. As elected officials, we take an oath of office to uphold the Constitution. And there are things in the Constitution I don't necessarily like, but it doesn't mean I get to pick and choose. You do not get to pick and choose when you're elected official of upholding the Constitution. So I would be very clear in that, you know, I would veto those bills. I think it would stop a lot of bills just from the get-go. They wouldn't even get introduced
even
if, you know,
attempt.
we have a Republican governor, if we have a governor like myself. Yeah, I mean,
And
and maybe they would, and you know, but they're not. It doesn't matter. They're not getting past my desk. I would not support them. I would just veto them and undo them. But I think the other thing that a governor can do is really have that bully pulpit and go out and have those discussions with people, you know, and talk about, you know, gun safety, and what we're doing. I mean, I remember it was Senator Joanne Janal who had something about that they had to teach classes in school with regard to gun safety, right? Hunter safety kind of things. I mean, my oldest grandson just went through that class in this last year kind of thing. So, I mean, it's things like that we can help promote. We can promote things in a positive way. And then I think the other thing too is we need to realize, just kind of like we were talking before we went on air, the small businesses that are being impacted as well by this. And that's an impact to the state as well. So I think there are even other laws there that as small businesses, you know, I would need to hear your voices as well. But I mean, so I think there's things that the governor can do, the bully pulpit, the veto, but really we need everybody to come together. And then here's the issue where I think we really need to start thinking about. And it's not just folks from, you know, the gun industry or the pro 2A, but it's people coming from the schools as well. How do we provide for school safety in our schools? I mean, I had a conversation last week with school superintendents, and it's like, what are we going to do? And how do we provide for the safety of our children? Because that's huge. That is huge in my book. Like, how are we going to do that? What could we be doing? You know, and you know, I mean, I'm not a big proponent of these gun-free zones. That's not. I don't think that's helpful. You know, and at the same time, though, we need to figure out some way that we can work with everybody, that parents feel comfortable, regardless of what side of this issue they're on. We're all on the same side of how do we provide for the safety of the children that are in our schools, and we need to start finding some solutions.
That's definitely one of my major issues. My school, my daughter's school. I'm not going to mention the school name, of course, for security reasons, but there's no armed security at that school, and it's a school of over 300 elementary school children, and not a single armed guard or resource officer, police, even someone with the FASTER program is not at that school, and it's disgusting. I think a lot of that might come from the state oversight side of things. My
It
personal
is.
belief is hand that over to the sheriffs and let them decide on the county security of schools. That's because we can elect those sheriffs into those positions to handle and protect schools how we want to.
Well,
That's yeah,
and Teddy, the other thing though is you have to work with the school board. They're a
Yeah.
local government,
you do.
right? So there
You
has
do.
to be a partnership. And I know, so when I was a county commissioner, I know the sheriff would do trainings with different school districts. And I know, like, even in the municipalities, because, you know, there are schools that are in counties, in the unincorporated part of the counties, and then
Absolutely.
there are schools that are within the municipality. And so
That's
then
true.
it's the law enforcement, it's the police chiefs, you know, and I know they have testing and they do trainings with school districts on, you know, you know, active shooter trainings and things of those nature. And, you know, I know there are some parents that are probably thinking, oh my God, I don't want I don't want my kid doing that. And it's, again, this is where everybody's got to come to the table, and we have to find these solutions on how do we protect our children in the schools. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't have the solution. I mean, I don't think we've thought of it yet. But I don't think everyone should expect one person to be thinking of that solution. I think it takes a team of people from all different angles looking at it to find that best solution that we can find. And then as a governor, I can work to figure out how do we fund it.
I would love to do that.
That's what
And
the
one of the
governor
things
needs
that
to
we
be
want to
doing.
do is ensure that we get someone who has those values into that office, because that is an answer that pleases me. And I don't want you to sit here and BS us and, you know, give us that fluff answer that, hey, we do have all the answers. No, but you know what? As a collective, I can tell you right now, in this industry, being as active as I am, as active as, you know, my buddy and partner and business partner and friend here is, and his wife, and this community of all the people that
Yeah.
we have, they would be willing to donate so much, not only time, effort, money, equipment, resources, veterans, former Leos. There are tons of people that
Yeah, I'll
are
make
sitting
that.
here and waiting, looking for someone to say, yes, come to the table. Let's get solution oriented, and let's figure out a way to
Yeah, I'll put that
make
commitment out
this
there
into an
today.
effect.
Any school district, any school board that wants to arm their teachers and or SROs, I will provide all the equipment at pure cost and or get that donated by the
All of us will.
manufacturers. That's
So
not an
I
issue.
want, yeah. But I want you to think of a couple of different programs, and maybe there are ways to build off of these programs.
Sure.
Neighborhood watch programs.
Oh, of
Those are
course.
volunteers who are doing neighborhood watch in their own. I mean, out where I live in the unincorporated part here of Weld County, we have a really strong neighborhood watch program, and we watch out for our neighbors. And then I can remember the sheriffs used to do a community policing program. Now, I'm not saying those are going to work exactly in a school, but maybe those are ideas that we build from and take from and build upon and start talking about how do we do that in our schools,
Well,
right?
also you
I
have the
mean,
sheriff's posse too. Now that several counties are doing sheriff's posse, where
oh
essentially you
yeah,
go through training and you can actually assist law enforcement as a volunteer capacity. So if you want to get involved in your community, that's another great way to get involved.
And we
but
have the
there's got to
resources
be
of
some
this
ideas there.
community that want to come together and protect the kids. We're not forcing anybody who doesn't want to be armed to be armed. What we are saying is, for those people out there, and there is a big community of people that want to change the safety and safeguards in their neighborhood, let us come to the table and let us get a community roundtable going where we can play off these ideas. We can find a way to fund it. We can find a way to come together as a community and be solution oriented, rather than sitting there and pointing at each other and blaming each other for the lack of effort. So what? Now what? It's time to move forward.
Absolutely. Sorry, Barb. I think we might have cut you
Yeah.
off again. I apologize.
No, that's fine. This is a great conversation. I really appreciate it. I'm learning a lot here, so this is a good thing.
We love having you here, Barb. You're very approachable. You're very easy to talk to. One of the things that I
Thank
do
you.
want the people to understand is, Barb had said this earlier, but I think we cut her off. But when we were at that Weld County hoedown, you're a grandmother. You have grandkids. You're there with them in their little Halloween outfits, helping them trick or treat. It wasn't like you're just there shaking hands and kissing babies and behaving like a politician. You brought your family there. And to me, that stood out to me, is like, oh, okay, this person is actually here because she is a part of this community. She's not here pretending to be a part of the community. I would like to see more involvement from your competition. out there to show what they're willing to bring to the table. We do have an open opportunity here on this channel for anybody who's running for governor to put them on the show for them to speak out and tell the people, from their mouth what they're going to do and bring some solutions, and not just have those politician answers of, well, this is what I'm going to do. And
this is grassroots right here.
This is how we change things. This is our ability to use the platform and the spaces that we have to make a difference. And I really appreciate that. We do have some questions that we ask all of our guests on our show when they come on the show that are very gun oriented. Okay. So, one, Barb, do you actively carry? And if you do, what is your everyday carry? And if you don't carry, Barb,
I don't
can fix that.
Carry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Barb. Say that again.
I know. I don't actively carry, but I do not actively carry. It's just not something that I've ever done. I know a lot of people who do, and that's great. But I do have a Ruger 380, and I feel comfortable with that. And that's kind of what I use. That's
awesome.
my go-to gun. Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite.
And then, like I said, I don't have my BB gun anymore, but hey.
Well, we need to get you out to the range, and we'll put you behind some artillery to shoot. I think you'll have a great time.
And if you would ever want to change your mind,
I've done that.
Come see me. I would love to have you in my class, Barb. And
my person.
I would love to train you and get you more comfortable with carrying, because we're seeing things change in Colorado, and
after the
people
death of
hate
Charlie
people
Kirk and the things that
for
we're
less.
saying, it's important for our politicians to be protected and be armed, because as we
No,
found out,
I will tell you that.
Go ahead, Barb.
And you know what? There have been things going on for a while. I mean, during COVID, again, we were the Board of County Commissioners that we basically told Governor Polis to go pound sand. Remember, because he would pass an executive order every day, and he's like, and then the county commissioners are going to enforce it. And we're like, no, we're not. It's not our order. We're not enforcing it. And he got really ticked off at us. And he told us he was going to take money away from our county. And we're like, who? Who are you going to take it away from? Like, whatever kind of thing, right? I mean, that's a pretty hollow threat. But we had people that would send some pretty gruesome emails and make some comments. And then again, as I've said, I live out in unincorporated Will County, live out in the rural parts of the county, and I had people who would come to my house, and they would say things that they were going to do, and then all of a sudden someone would show up like right outside. My lane is about 1/10 of a mile long, so they would show up and park at the end of my lane. And I've got 2 mean dogs, and I do have guns. I just don't actively carry all the time, but I do have guns.
I would like to fix that.
And and so I mean, they would also went to my daughter's homes as well. And so I had to call the sheriff. I had to take my name off of the voter registration stuff. You won't find my address. You won't find my phone number, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I know what you're saying. We put up, I have electronic gates. We have cameras. I've got mean dogs, and people need to know I do have guns. And I made that known during that time. And, there are times when I have carried, but I'm not actively carrying.
And I will say, as you come more into the public eye and for state,
I probably shouldn't say that out loud.
It's fine. We're gonna fix that. But what I will say is you can't carry a cop on your back, but you can carry a gun on your side or something.
I love when he says that.
So something to consider. We'd love to have you out to the range and show you some different options. Yeah. But regardless of that, Barb, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate the conversation you had with us tonight and how open you were about everything. And for those of you who are watching that tuned in, thank you for tuning in tonight, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you can, do the extra effort and share the link to the show tonight. It helps us a lot with the algorithm. Make sure you comment, post, all that good stuff, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up for us. Barb, can you please do everybody a solid, tell them where to look for you, how they can find you on social media, what websites you have, how they can support you, and any up-and-coming events that you have that you would like for people to come out and meet you. And I will say this again, my classroom is in Thornton. It's off of 104th and I-25. I would make any time extra I can come to you even. I would love to help you be more comfortable and carry and certify for you that, just for the simple fact that,
there's crazy people out there.
There's crazy people out there. And you are a grandmother. You are a mother. And I want you to be safe, not even just as a politician, but as a person. Because that's what we're here to do.
Well,
and I want you to have that security.
Sure. And I appreciate that. I greatly do. I mean, I do live out in the country. And, on any given Sunday, you can come out here and you'll see my grandsons and everybody, all of us out shooting at prairie dogs because we got to get rid of those prairie dogs, or shooting at cans
how
or
I started
whatever.
to learn.
But so we do stuff like that. So you know, we can work on it though.
Okay.
I'm with you, and I appreciate you looking out for my safety as well. But I do have Kirkmeyer for Colorado. So Kirkmeyer, FOR for Colorado.com is my website. You can go there and find out a lot about me as well. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. I think they're all basically Kirkmeyer for Colorado. I have my state Senate one as well that I'm out there as well, on Twitter and those types of things. So I'm pretty easy to find on those locations. I am for the next starting tomorrow, the next 4 days, I'm heading over to the Western Slope. So I'll be in Garfield County, Mesa County, Montrose County, let's see, Gunnison County, and Aspen. What county is Pitkin County? So I'll be traveling around in those 5 counties in the next couple of days, and we're putting stuff out and getting, the parties have been really good about putting out some meet and greets and doing things of that nature. So I'll be out and about in those areas. But I just try, if people invite me to events, I go to those events. I try to go to most of the Republican breakfasts and lunches, and dinners, and things of that nature. So, I'm out and about a lot, but I would say just send me a message. I have people send me messages all the time, and I try to respond as best as I can. There's a lot. You can always reach me at bkirkmeyer at gmail.com. Pretty darn easy, and send me an email. I'm happy to try and respond in that way as well. But, I just want to say thank you to both of you as well.
Thank you.
You guys are engaged, and that's what it takes. I mean, it takes all of us to get engaged. Yeah, I'm a mom and I'm a grandmother, but you guys are engaged. Your dads, your moms, you're doing your thing as well. And you're trying to make sure that the public is aware of what's going on in our state. And that's extremely important because we've got a media that kind of only shows just certain sides of it. We've got a governor that thinks that if he just keeps saying it over and over, even if it's not the truth, that he thinks everyone believes him. Yeah, exactly. And so it's important that we have folks like you that are helping to get the message out as well. And I'm greatly appreciative of it because you know what, this is our state. And if we don't go fight for our state, nobody else is going to. And like I said, I'm a 4th generation Coloradoan. Most of the time, the reason I've run for office, I don't need the job. I want the job so that I can go help build a better future for our grandchildren, because that's what we're doing. It's not just about winning, it's about governing. And how are we going to make it better for the next generation? So that's what I'm into. So thank you all very much
for being here. Thank you to my business partner, Teddy, and Spartan Defense for being one of the biggest supporters of the Second Syndicate and 2/3 of the Second Syndicate. I am the 3rd, and they are 2. I am not a mother. I am not a wife. I am a single gal who is a 5th generation Coloradan. And, it's very important that we understand that every voice matters. It doesn't matter if you stand for yourself or you stand for a group of people. Every voice matters, and it doesn't take but the initiative to get involved, to be activated, to get informed. I do teach concealed carry classes, Denver. Concealed carry classes of Denver. You can go there and book a class with me. You can come. Please support Spartan Defense in your local gun shops. It is very important now more than ever for everybody out there who is listening to support this industry. Support Spartan Defense. They ship nationwide. They have every gun that you could possibly think of. They have an amazing staff, and these are the people that are all boots on the ground fighting for your rights. So thank you to that. Shout out to our media team too. Go ahead.
I just want to add to that, guys. Whether it's us or somebody else, support your local FFL, whoever they may be. For those of you who don't know, I'm the vice president for the Colorado Federal Firearms Licensee Association. I serve in a number of positions for 2A causes. That's one of them. And the things I'm hearing from some of our members is about the hardship that they are seeing. One, we have an economic downturn in the gun industry in general going on right now, but the new state regulations and laws are not helping in Colorado. And just think of it this way. This is backdoor gun control from the Democrats. If they can shut down your local store, where are you going to get your firearm? Where are you going to have that facilitated? Stop transferring things into dealers. Go and support your local firearm dealer. At least give them the chance to price match and keep your business local, because they're the ones that go up to the Capitol every year and fight their ass off to protect your rights.
That's right. And Teddy doesn't ever cuss, so he's just did. So he means it. So everybody out there, please get involved. This election was disgusting. We need to get better. It's time to step it up. If you want some resources, please reach out to Barb. Please reach out to us. However we can accommodate you, we will. On that note, God bless everyone. Stay safe, stay strapped, support the second. Where the second is first, the second syndicate, and we're out.
God bless.
Peace out.
Thank you.